You find yourself working from home, but you're still ambitious and you're still looking to advance your career. Stay tuned for these remote working tips to help you grow your career while you work from home. Hello and welcome back to my channel where I help you slay your career and cultivate the successful life that you deserve. For the best career advancement advice, make sure you click the subscribe button plus the notification bell. I release a new video every Tuesday. Whether you've just landed your first remote job or you find yourself working from home because of current circumstances, you want to know how you can continue to build your successful career and advance your career while you work from home. With these 4 strategies, you're going to be able to do just that. If you're new to my channel, I'm gonna pre-warn you. This is not going to be your typical remote working tips video where I tell you that you should wear pants and work at the same time every single day. Okay, well, I might tell you to work at the same time every day, but that's beside the point. In this video, what I want to help you do is help you establish good practices and good principles to help you successfully work from home if you are looking to advance your career within the next 6 to 12 months. What you don't want to do if you are suddenly working from home or you've just landed your first remote position is slow down the momentum that you have in your career and delay your career advancement goals. Oh, and make sure that you stay all the way to the end of this video because I have a really useful resource for you at the end. Now, if you're ready, click that like button and let's jump right into it. My first working remote tip is to be consistent. Now, I know I told you I wasn't going to just be telling you the basic stuff like working the same hours. If you are looking for tips like that, you could check out the post that I've linked down below where I've outlined all of my best working from home tips. This one is actually going a little bit more deeper than that. One of the biggest misconceptions that I've heard for years that always drove me crazy as someone who works remotely for the most part is that working from home is not really working, that you are on vacation when you're working from home. And there's so many missteps that go with that. But what I really mean when I say being consistent is that you are bringing the same dedication, work ethic, and ambition into your remote work that you brought into the office every day. There's a few ways that you can help build this consistently into your routine. First of all, the obvious and practical stuff, like entering your work mode on a consistent basis by having a dedicated space, set hours, and yes, maybe even putting pants on is going to be something that helps get you there. But also doing things like having dedicated availability where you're going to be available on instant messenger for your coworkers or set times that you're responding to email so people know what you're doing and what to expect is something that's very helpful. When you're showing up for work and putting in a consistent effort, that is going to be something that is going to pay off and it's going to help you maintain the momentum that you need for career advancement, especially when you're working remotely. While there is going to be less formality when you are working from home, the more that you can be present in a consistent way between when you were in person and when you were at your home office or at your kitchen table if that's your workspace, the better off you are going to be. And while people can't necessarily see it, trust me, they are going to see it. And that leads me directly into my second work from home tip, which is to be connected. Look, isolation when you're working remotely can be really real, especially if you're someone who's used to going into the office every day and having the impromptu conversations over the water cooler at the coffee maker with your colleagues. Especially if you're doing work which isn't requiring you to sit in meetings all day, every day. First of all, I'm a little bit envious there, but it can actually feel incredibly isolating when you don't have any people or any noise around you. And while we know we have the casual conversations with our colleagues when we arrive at the morning or over a coffee break, one thing that I think a lot of people aren't really highly aware of until they've made that shift to work from home or work remotely is how much of that conversation really helps them to build the rapport and to remain connected with their colleagues and with their boss. But don't worry, you don't have to completely be devoid of that connection while you work from home. There's a few simple things that you can do to actually help build this virtually. The first thing that I did when I first started working remotely was I actually created a virtual water cooler. What that was actually just a dedicated virtual space on a weekly basis for my team members and for my colleagues to actually drop in and say hello to each other and just to catch up on what we're doing. Another thing that can feel kind of wasteful, and I know a lot of people try to refrain from, is actually just pinging your colleagues on your communication channels to say, hey, how's it going? Now, I'm not talking about Slack stalking your colleagues or anything like that, but just sending people the occasional message to just have a little bit of casual conversation can be one of the ways that you can stay really connected with your coworkers when you are working remotely. And while it's not necessarily productive time, having those consistent communication channels open is actually going to make you more impactful, and it's going to keep you productive in the long run. And going out of your way to talk to your coworkers and to your boss is really going to help with tip 3, which is to be communicative. I know a lot of companies already struggle with communication, and if this is something that you know you can do better at, make sure you click the subscribe button, because I do have a video on this exact topic coming out in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I really wanted to get you the basics so that you are staged for success right here, right now. If you're new to working remotely, one of the things that you're going to notice is that there's going to be a devoid of information when you're used to overhearing things, casually catching up at the rumor mill, and all of those things. So you actually have to be a little bit more intentional about the information that's being distributed, both in terms of what you are distributing and what you are looking for coming into you. This is particularly important when you are working from home, because your ability to communicate what you're doing, what you're working on, and making sure that no packets are dropped is really essential to your remote working success. The best advice that I have for you on this part is, when in doubt, over communicate. Now, you don't want to be spamming everyone with every little thing and every little idea that you have, but when in doubt, document and distribute the information in a way that isn't going to clog up people's inboxes or Slack channels. If you're using a CRM like Salesforce, live and die by the rule that if it doesn't exist in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. And integrate all of the collaboration tools that you use at your company in order to facilitate those conversations. And finally, because the opportunity of being overheard is something that is going to be missed, be even more diligent and more attentive over who needs to be informed and who needs to be consulted on any event that is occurring. And also, don't be afraid to ask specific people for information when you think that they might have it for you. And seriously, making sure that you've implemented tip 2 is really going to help with this. But the most essential element to this one is actually tip 4, which is to be visible. Especially if you're someone who's used to going into the office every day and gracing everyone with your physical presence, this is actually one that doesn't translate so easily when you are working remotely or you're working from home. And to a certain degree, it does begin with the basics, like being present during working hours. Of course, you want to be signed in, and if you do use an instant messenger application, make sure that you are online. That green dot really does go a long way. But also do more than just being physically present there. Be responsive there as well. I know that's not really reasonable to be answering instant messages and emails all day, every day, but especially, as I mentioned in the first tip, being consistent and having time blocks set aside where you are going to be virtually available for questions and responses is going to be something that really helps to maintain your visibility. And one of my best remote working tips is actually to make sure that you're keeping your boss updated. Now, this is also going to include things like keeping your boss updated and making your accomplishments known, especially to any parties that have a vested interest in them. This could be things like a weekly or daily email roundup, or just celebrating the successes that happen along the way to keep everyone informed. And really, let's face it, especially in context of where we are right now, if you're watching this right as I release this video, maintaining positivity is going to be something that is incredibly helpful. More on that in just a bit. Now, aside from the proactive and formal channels, you can also capitalize on informal channels such as LinkedIn to help keep yourself visible. Maintaining a presence on a professional social network like LinkedIn is going to be something that is very helpful. If this is something that you think you can do better on, I would love to see you in my upcoming webinar where I'm focusing on just that. The link is, of course, in the description down below. And finally, I have a bonus tip for you, and that is to be positive. Especially if you're working from home or working remotely, based on the current circumstances, if you're watching this video right when it comes out, being positive is not only going to help keep you happy, especially in a challenging time, but it's also going to be something that helps to increase positivity and maintain momentum for your company, your clients, and your partners, really anyone that you interface with. And if this is something that you feel like you really want to focus on and up-level to keep things upbeat no matter what is going on in the world, I highly recommend you check out this video right now where I give my tips to be positive at work. Now, I'd love to know which of these strategies you are going to implement first. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch you in that video. Bye for now. Sure, I know pants aren't essential when you're working from home. In fact, you don't even know if I'm wearing them right now.